Hello. 6 years ago, we launched Greenly with a simple mission: to make carbon accounting simple, precise, and intuitive for everyone, every company, every person. Back then, measuring your company's emissions was a privilege. Armies of consultants, endless spreadsheets, static PowerPoints, slow, opaque, expensive, exclusive. But the world has changed. Carbon data is no longer a nice to have. It's becoming a passport to compete in the net zero economy, as essential as financial reporting in the last century. Yet, many companies seem to be stuck with yesterday's tools. Compliance feels like bureaucracy. Reporting is fragmented. Action stalls. Those who cling to the old way actually risk being left behind by regulators, by customers, by investors. At Greenly, we believe every sustainability leader deserves a modern climate operating system, one that turns reporting from a burden into an advantage, a system that automates what slows you down, engages teams and suppliers, and gives you the confidence to lead. We now live in the world of AI, and that's why we've spent the past year building the most advanced version of Greenly yet. Faster, sharper, built for this decisive moment. So you can not only stay compliant, but stay ahead. But before we show you what's next, let's step back and examine the landscape we're entering. If you have only followed the headlines, you might think ESG is collapsing. There's a backlash. Trump, omnibus. Don't believe everything you read in the news. We have been in the trenches with thousands of sustainability leaders. We have talked to people on the ground, and we have heard a very different story. Budgets for sustainability are growing. 77% of CSOs have seen no cuts. 88% say sustainability drives long-term business value. Over 95% linked ESG to stronger performance. More companies than ever are disclosing their emissions. Why? Because they know the net zero economy is coming. This isn't some radical ideology. It's the market. Customers demand it. Investors price it. Your competitors are moving faster because they need to invest now to avoiding losing out. What looks like a backlash is just the noise of the transition. No, we are not in a sustainability recession. We are in a sustainability reset, one that's making climate strategy a must-have capability for the next decade of growth. The question isn't, are we doing ESG anymore? The question is, are we building a company that can thrive in a climate-driven market? And that's exactly the world Greenly is here to accelerate. But of course, acceleration alone is not enough. Leaders like you need clarity, trust, and real impact. And that is why today, we're making something official. Laetitia?
Thank you, Alexis. We know what it feels to sit where you sit. You are asked to deliver change faster than ever, with data that you don't fully trust, regulation that keeps shifting, and stakeholders who want proof, not promises. Too often, climate software stops at counting and compliance, leaving you alone to turn numbers into action. At Greenly, we believe that's not enough. So today, we're making something official. A pact with sustainability leaders. A set of 7 promises. Not just words, but commitments designed to last, so they won't fade away when the buzzwords change. 1. From measurement to action. Counting tons is not impact. We commit expert guidance with over 60 climate specialists to help you actually reduce. 2. Radical transparency. Every emission factor is sourced, dated, and auditable. No black box, no trust gap. 3. Accuracy you can bet your career on. Data strong enough to defend in front of boards, regulators, and investors. 4. Clarity in pricing. No hidden complexity, you can plan and scale with confidence. 5. Innovation that serves you, not the hype. AI and automation, but only when they simplify your work and help you act faster. 6. You're in the driving seat. We build the cockpit. We'll give you the instruments and the alerts, but you keep control of the strategy. 7. One step ahead, always. Regulations shift. CSRD, SEC, IFRS, SBTi. Our research team watches the horizon so you never feel blindsided. This isn't a feature list. It's a declaration on how we will work with you to turn ESG from a reporting core into a lever of competitive advantage, to make you a climate expert. 2025 made one thing clear. The age of spreadsheets is over. Thousands of companies have adopted Greenly's platform approach. We are redefining carbon accounting. Our community agrees. On G2, Trustpilot, and Capterra, we stand out at a 4.8/5, the highest in the category. We're not building a compliance tool. We are building a new category, carbon intelligence, to turn historical data into a management system for the future. Ambitious teams don't ask which tool. They ask, how fast can we get to action? Welcome to the era of carbon intelligence, and we are only getting started. Greenly is the industry's full climate suite, providing 360 degrees coverage for every climate need. Our platform is robust, built over 70 climate experts, and this deep expertise ensures the highest quality across our user base, which is why we've earned an exceptional 9 out of 10 customer satisfaction score globally. This intelligence also powers Greenly Pro, enabling 80 partner companies and over 150 consultants to scale their practices using our tools. In our core domain, carbon management and reduction, we've set a new standard for accuracy. Thanks to tech updates, like automated quality controls, our users are seeing up to 80% improvement in data accuracy. This drives action. Our users have already selected 13,000 actions overall from our roadmaps. Our integrated AI ensures efficiency, solving 60% of support tickets with AI and earning positive feedback, proving AI boosts speed and satisfaction. We've mastered lifecycle assessments, generating over 3.4 million LCAs, and we provide instant audit-grade report generation with embedded regulatory compliance to ISO, EPD, etc., including multi-criteria analysis. And finally, we connect everything with our comprehensive ESG suite. We support 10 reference frameworks using connected data points from your GHG and LCA modules, and we've integrated climate risk scenarios analysis capabilities. Greenly is the definitive choice for leaders who demand carbon intelligence, but even with the most powerful platform, we recognize the universal truth about sustainability. It's still too time-consuming, too manual. And this is exactly why we've decided to take a bold step forward. So, to tell you what's next, I'll hand it over to Mathieu, our CTO.
Thank you, Laetitia. We all know complying to sustainability frameworks is like a marathon. You wake up full of energy with ideas to make your company greener. But then, reality hits. You need to chase thousands of data points for a GHG report, answer obscure CSRD disclosure, find the right emission factors for LCA. And it's not just complex. You're also short on staff, short on time, with a lot of pressure to do more with less. So we've rebuilt the whole platform to make it 10 times faster and more intuitive. But even with the smoothest experience, complying to frameworks is still tedious. You'll spend hours searching for information, going back and forth with our experts, formatting your data to fit our templates. So we ask ourselves, what if all this boring manual work disappeared? What if an AI copilot handled the research, the benchmarking, the data formatting, delivering the output of an expert team 5 times bigger at the speed of AI? What if this AI already knew your company, your industry, your peers, and answered the hard questions for you instantly? This used to sound like science fiction, but today it's here, introducing Greenly EcoPilot. Now let's see EcoPilot in action. JB, can you tell us what it can do?
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine logging on the platform for the first time. You don't want to waste hours figuring out where to start. You want the system to understand you, your goals, your constraints, your strategy. EcoPilot already knows a lot about that. It has benchmarked your company against many others in your industry. So instead of throwing you a generic checklist, it summarizes your goals and priorities, asks more precise questions to go further, and even pre-answers them based on what it knows about you. So you just review, adjust if needed, or ask clarifying questions on the spot. From the very start, EcoPilot tailors your data collection and reporting strategy to your own context and objectives, so you can focus 100% on what really matters to your company. Then comes data collection. Normally, you'd spend hours trying to squeeze your messy files into our templates. Every column had to match. One mistake and you start over. With Greenly, you just upload your own file. EcoPilot checks what's missing, asks you a few simple questions, and restructures everything in seconds. And it doesn't stop there. ESG reporting used to mean opening long surveys, reading cryptic questions, and trying to remember if you'd already uploaded this data before. Now, EcoPilot can learn from your internal documents and reuse your data from other frameworks to pre-fill your report. No duplication, no repetition, just one flow, one source of truth, benchmarked against your entire industry. Now, let's say that your company manufactures products. If you had 100 products, you had to create 100 LCAs manually. This would mean hundreds of materials, thousands of activities, and finding the right emission factors was a nightmare. EcoPilot analyzes your bills of materials and creates the related LCAs automatically. Each activity is matched with the most relevant emission factor, chosen from a comprehensive library of 20 integrated databases, including ADEM, EcoInvent, and more, which together provides over 300,000 emission factors. So you get your LCAs 90% complete the moment you upload your bills of materials. That's hundreds of hours saved, and you can finally focus on insights, not spreadsheets. But EcoPilot doesn't stop at diagnosis. It suggests reduction objectives tailored to your context and sector. For instance, renewable electricity, supplier engagement, SBTi targets, and so on. And it generates a list of concrete reduction actions with impact, scope, and timeline, so you know exactly what to do and when. Now, addressing the elephant in the room. Your scope 3 is probably more than 70% of your emissions. So before, you would send emails, chase suppliers for months to get their carbon data and reduction trajectories, and often end up with science. EcoPilot screens your supplier list against our database of tens of thousands of companies and scans the web for carbon data and targets. In minutes, your entire supply chain is screened for climate action. You see which suppliers already have useful data, and you only need to engage the rest. So you move from reporting to action faster. Finally, insights. Normally, you would end up with big dashboards full of static graphs. They are useful, but limited. And the moment you need a specific answer, you're stuck. You can ask anything to EcoPilot, and you get the answer instantly with numbers, charts, and context. Instead of drowning in dashboards, you get clear, actionable insights to steer your strategy. And it goes further, because knowing yourself is one thing, but you also need to know how you compare to others. EcoPilot is trained not just on standards like SBTi, GHG Protocol, or IPCC reports, but also on thousands of real company sustainability plans. So you can ask how you compare to your industry and instantly see benchmarks, statistics, and recommendations. EcoPilot shows you the data with the related sources, suggests a plan, and even generates the slides that you would present to your board. It's not just reporting, it's strategy, on demand. Bottom line is, EcoPilot isn't about shiny AI. It's about removing the noise, the endless clicks, the messy spreadsheets, the obscure questions, and instead giving you a clear path. Your data is structured, your priorities are clear, your next steps are obvious. You can finally do more with less. Spend less time struggling with compliance and more time driving real climate impact. But at the end of the day, you don't prove impact with slides or speeches. You prove it with results. And that's exactly what our customers are delivering with Greenly every day. Dana?
Thanks, JB. This evolution is driven by the needs of sustainability leaders we work with. We built EcoPilot on the foundation of our platform, and our client success proves that this foundation works. Let's hear from Chiara Filippucci, who uses Greenly to drive sustainability at DOT. Hello, Chiara. Thanks so much for being here today with us. So maybe to start, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about DOT?
Hello, pleasure to be here. I'm Chiara. I'm a sustainability manager at DOT, which is the European micromobility operator that operates a fleet of e-bikes and e-scooters in about 400 cities across 10 countries in Europe and the Middle East. Our mission is to change mobility for good together, which means making urban transportation cleaner and more accessible to all, collaborating with our riders, with cities, and with local communities of the cities where we operate.
I guess climate strategy or carbon strategy was something very important to you guys. And I'm very curious to know what were like the challenges that you initially faced in the beginning, or what seemed to be the most complicated when you started with your carbon strategy?
Right. Sustainability was at the heart of DOT mission and DNA from the very beginning, which meant we started thinking about carbon strategies from the very early days in 2019. And there were two key challenges at the time. Firstly, micromobility itself was a new industry, which meant it was rapidly changing, and there were a lot of unknowns we had to unveil and cope with. For example, the lack of open source emission factors, but also new vehicles, new suppliers we were partnering with. And there was a second challenge that was about scaling up so rapidly in many cities and countries. And in particular, after the merge with TIER back in 2024, we actually had to redesign carbon accounting to integrate systems, collaborate as a whole new team, and make sure we had a robust and audible process in place for a larger scale company.
All right, so can you walk me through what the collaboration with Greenly looked like in practice?
Sure. So the kickoff phase was all about DOT and Greenly team coming together. And there was a big effort from the Greenly team to understand our unique operating models, our needs and priorities for this project. Mm-hmm. Throughout the process, we had regular check-ins with our climate expert, which helped us validate data input and refining assumptions along the way. And finally, there was a last phase about refining and reviewing our climate report and making sure that was ready to feed into our annual GRI sustainability report.
It sounds like you had a really good dynamic with your climate expert, which is so great to hear, because that's the kind of relationship we want to build. But I don't want to forget the platform, of course. What was it like using the Greenly platforms throughout the collaboration as well?
Yes, we used the Greenly platform on a daily basis during the process. And there were two things that stood out for us. So there was a good hierarchy of information with the progress tab that allowed us to monitor how our project was evolving. There was the data tab where we could actually see into the details of each module and data input. And there was the My Emissions tab, which at the end allowed us to review our entire emissions footprint by source, by scope, by entity, which was helpful for us for our communication and reporting needs.
A lot of granularity from start to finish, it seems, yeah. So what stood out to you the most in your collaboration while working with Greenly?
There was a good collaboration with the team and a good level of personalized support all along the way. From kickoff meeting, when the team really made effort to understand our unique operating model, to all the way along the process with the climate expert support in refining assumptions and data validation. But also there was an element of going beyond support on GHG assessment and providing advice and guidance on more broad topics, such as how to harmonize SBTi targets following the merge with TIER, but also how to improve emission factors accuracy for some specific streams, such as freight or product purchases.
So cool to hear that you focused on carbon management and started to look also at carbon reduction, setting those targets in. I remember you saying earlier, though, that you also had some challenges that you faced that had to do with like lack of open source emission factors or even like new suppliers coming in. How exactly did you address those concerns while in the process?
We did take a step-by-step approach. We worked with the available information at the time to start our carbon strategy, and then had this approach to refine over time and over the years our assumptions and data inputs. So for example, on emission factors, we started with general emission factors and then moved to use more refined country-specific emission factors. And for suppliers, for example, we started engaging very regularly with our key suppliers to obtain more information and more accurate data on the streams that we needed data input on.
That's great to hear, because the more specific our emission factors are, the higher the accuracy as well as the report, which makes the rest of the plan also a lot better. So can you describe to me what you're looking for in an ideal climate intelligence platform? Like, not just a 10 out of 10, what would make it so much better for you to drive sustainability forward?
An ideal climate intelligence platform for us is one that is deeply integrated into our day-to-day work. So concretely, that would be dynamically calculating emissions over the year, that would be running scenarios to support decision-making of the various teams, but also would be keeping us informed not only on the industry and peers benchmarking, but about the latest regulatory trends that we need to be up to date with.
I think that's exactly what other sustainability leaders are also looking for, and that's exactly how we're building and built EcoPilot. And before we close out this interview, I just wanted to know, Chiara, what's a little nugget of wisdom or piece of advice that you have to give to companies who maybe haven't started their sustainability journey or strategy yet?
I would say start small, but start now, because it is actually a first step on your sustainability strategy to be mapping and identify your key emission sources and drivers.
True.
The process will get eventually more complete and more accurate as you iterate and break the problem further down.
That sounds optimistic and realistic, so I think that's so great to hear. Thank you so much, Chiara, for being here and for sharing your experience working with Greenly, and I really just hope that there's only so much more impactful work to be done in the future between DOT and Greenly.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Chiara. That story is the very reason we're building Greenly. For too long, climate action was a luxury. Expertise was tied to expensive, long-term projects, creating a massive barrier to entry. We believe it's time to change that. Our mission is to democratize climate intelligence. To truly lead the market and ensure sustainability is not a nice-to-have, but an essential investment, we had to rethink the whole cost structure. This is where our EcoPilot comes in. By integrating AI, we dramatically increase efficiency and insights. This allows us to accurately establish the market price for sustainability and pass those savings directly to you. Our main goal is to offer an optimal and fully transparent price that makes climate action accessible to all. AI is a key enabler for this accessibility. We're making that vision a reality with our completely redesigned pricing model. It delivers a simple, flexible path for any business sustainability journey, full access to powerful ESG modules in scalable tiers, dedicated plans for each use case, starter for sustainability beginners, pro and enterprise for our most advanced users. Because to truly move the needle on climate, everyone needs a seat at the table. This is the next evolution of our movement, and it's powered by EcoPilot. But the solution itself must be sustainable. To share Greenly's commitments to a low-carbon EcoPilot framework, Alexis Normand, the floor is yours.
We have a moral duty to accelerate 100x the fight against climate change. But we cannot sacrifice impact for speed. We can't just be moving fast and breaking things, because there is no going back on climate change. We must be moving smart. As AI models grow linearly in size, their environmental impact does too. They're already putting our energy systems under strain. Data centers are eating up more and more power, very often powered by fossil-intensive combustion. Every query has an impact of a few grams of CO2, multiplied by 1 billion a day. In fact, training a single major model can release more carbon than the lifetime of a car. We cannot let our thirst for speed become a new sustainability problem. This is why Greenly EcoPilot is built on a foundation of responsible AI principles. striking a balance between the urgency of our mission and the importance of sustainable development. We have 3 commitments to low-carbon AI. 1, local and specialized model. We use local and specialized models whenever that's possible, because this significantly reduces the need for energy-hungry queries to global clouds, ensuring our models are efficient by design. 2, we use low-carbon servers. These servers are hosted in regions powered by low-carbon electricity, renewables, nuclear. This ensures that every EcoPilot calculations runs on the cleanest grid mix available, minimizing the carbon footprint of every insight we deliver. 3, continuous optimization. We continually optimize our algorithms to mix compute and memory usage without sacrificing accuracy. We need to treat computational resources like the scarce resources they are. I said it, we cannot sacrifice impact for speed. We must accelerate, but with intelligence and integrity. EcoPilot is not just a new shiny feature. It's how we make climate intelligence accessible to every company, everyone, everywhere, making sustainability so obvious that everyone suddenly is about to get much smarter about the climate. And this is only the beginning, because Greenly will help you take part in this revolution. Thank you.